Police Subcommittee meeting for April 4th. Please come to order. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first issue is 16017. It's a motion made by Councillor Rotondo that the mayor requests the city planner to research the feasibility of creating an innovative overlay zone. George?
Sure, if you could repeat that, Councilor Haas.
Can you read that, please, Secretary?
I know it's the overlay zone, but I believe other people might not have heard that.
First item on the agenda was Council Order Number 16-017, motion presented by Councillor Rotondo that the mayor request the city planner to research the feasibility of creating an innovation overlay zone.
Councillor Rotondo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For me, it's very simple that we could, in the aggregate, provide selective zoning within certain PPD districts to allow for innovation zoning. When I take a look at Albany, New York, in which they have nanotechnology parks there, matter of fact, it's considered one of the most prominent on the East Coast. And speaking of my cousin who's out in Palo Alto, this is some of the things that they've done out there. Bringing these micro companies into this innovation zone would be something that we could do. If we look to Everett right now, although it's not innovation, I would consider it light industry. You have Amazon.com that's there now, and they are on Air Force Road because they were solicited there. And what we need to start doing as a community is showing the people outside of this community how vibrant we are, and more importantly, how progressive we are. We need to shed this image that we have as a community in order to attract them. And it might not take a year, it might not take 2 years, it might take 5 years, but we have to start today. You know, we have a young mayor and a fairly young council, and I think that we should use that to our advantage. I think this is the things that we need to bring to bear. And by putting an innovation zone and attaching TIFs to it and things of that nature, I think that would be a great thing. I'll give you an example. Let's say Carabetta, just on a different venue, decided that they wanted to do some work on their properties. Clearly, having what they have out there now isn't obviously the best and most advantageous to come off the train station and look at it. It kind of looks, you know, a little less than, let's say, the pink building there, the St. George, exactly. And my thought is when they would come off of Revere Beach train station and look at Carabetta's, if we could give them a TIF and incentivize the idea of getting them to change the facade of the building and upgrading their building, what a beautiful thing. I mean, this is what we have to do. So aside from the innovation zone, we also have to be thinking about our branding as well, and that's part and parcel of this process, sir.
Thank you, George. I think we need a complete revamping of all of our zoning in Revere. I think it overlaps each other, and I think that's why we have a lot of the problems in Revere that we've had. Any other?
Thank you, Councilor Haas.
Patrick, Keith.
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Rotondo in the sense that I think it's important for us as a city to be welcoming to new types of business and continue to cast a wide net when it comes to inviting some of these groups to come into our city to take a look. So if it meant rezoning or offering different types of zoning and offering different types of tax credits, I'm all in favor of that. If it's going to generate revenue to the city, it's going to bring in new jobs, it's going to bring in some great new infrastructure and hopefully add to the appeal of the city. I would, I think that it would be good to hear a little bit more of exactly what the types of business would be so that the residents would be able to know. And I saw the Amazon site that went into Everett. It's a fulfillment center, but we have plenty of space in Revere that would be able to offer a fulfillment center or something of that sort. But would that be considered the nanotechnology or that type of zoning? Or?
Through you, Mr. President.
Mr. Rotondo?
So what you would do is, with that type of a system, you would set up a matrix, and everything would have a point based upon its value in the matrix. Obviously, the higher the points would go to a company that would provide nanotechnology education, and employment to Revere residents as a preference. That would be the highest TIF level that you could get. And then you would structure it down based upon that. Now, Amazon is doing fulfillment because they're close to the Boston market so that they can actually fulfill food markets, actually. You know, that's part of what they're doing. The New England food market is right next door. That's part of their program. If you look at their business model, they put it out. Part of that's actually to capture that home market. That would be at a different level because it's a light industry. And although I would enjoy that, it's actually at a lower order in the matrix in my mind. And obviously, these things are fluid. We could all kind of work around them collectively, the mayor's office, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you know, you want to try and do light industry, high technology in different stratas. And then, for example, restaurants and microbreweries, for example, again, in Everett. Those would have different connotations that have different TIFs, and they'd have different venues. You would also have to, and I know this is a dirty word to some people, you would actually have to bring in housing. Because in order to facilitate the actual, flourishing of these businesses, you need the housing component in order to attract both the developer and the people to work in it, aside from our people here in Revere. It has to be a combination of both. It can't be just one simple thing. And you have to be able to ensure the type of marketing program that you have for your housing in order to get those millennials and so forth here. Another perfect answer is to take a look at Chelsea and what they're doing along the highway there, right across from, the FBI building and so forth. So that's just my thought.
Thank you.
Just,
Yes, Mr. Keefe.
Agreed 100%. You're not going to get me to find much flaw in offering the ability to bring on more business like this into the city. The good thing is I think it's the chicken and the egg scenario. We have the housing. Now we need to bring some of the infrastructure and the industry and continue to work on the infrastructure. And then you keep going back and forth. When we are able to provide a little bit more, then I think the openings of the doors to some more improved types of lifestyle centers and housing, that would be the next step. So it's got to be a little bit of a tennis game going back and forth.
Thank you, Mr. Keefe.
I would love to move to vote after we hear the words.
Ms. McKenna?
Councillor Rotondo, I think this is a great motion. I believe that we should be looking out of the box, not we shouldn't be in the box. My philosophy is if you don't build it, they won't come. So I really appreciate this motion. Thank you.
Councillor Zambudo?
I have mixed emotions on this motion, but I tend to support it because I think it has more merit than that. But I think we're going to discuss this further, aren't we?
We're probably going to disagree.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of debate on this subject. Right. I look forward to the back and forth, and if we do something, we do it right.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor? Councillor Marabito?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a great motion. I think the overlay zoning district, I think it can be a valid tool, but we got to be careful not to overuse it because, especially when traditional zoning can be in place, but I'm for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. No other councillors going to speak? Committee members, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So voted. This will come up later on this evening in a regular council meeting. Second item will be 16029. It's a motion presented by Councillor Rotondo that the mayor look into the feasibility of urban farming and husbandry as permitted in the city of Boston. Do you really want to get involved in this, Councillor?
As crazy as it might sound to you all, there are many aspects to it that I think are of benefit. I think if we're going to do this, we have to make the person who actually submits to this be the person that actually pays for the actual process of ensuring its integrity. And that's something that we should probably leave in committee and speak with the mayor's office and as well as ISP to see if we're able to ensure the integrity of the process. I know they do it in Boston, they do it in New York City. I'm not sure if Revere is ready for it yet, but I know believe it or not, there are a few people that really want to do this, and I don't see the difference between raising chickens and raising, and I say chickens, not roosters.
Roosters.
Yeah, I know, versus raising rabbits. So there's really no difference when it comes to
So
the
you're
issue of
requesting that
rodent
we
control.
leave it in committee?
Right, I mean, leave it in
Okay.
committee, because we need to have more discussion on it with ISP and so forth. I mean, Bob, you live right down the street, or you used to live down the street from people that, you know.
Have them.
Had rabbits, too. So, that's,
You're right. Next item, you want to read it?
This is on zoning amendment change, CZ-16-03. Corey Abrams and Kerri Abrams, 252 Franklin Street, Reading, Mass., requesting an amendment of the zoning map of the City of Revere by changing a certain lot of land located on Bennington Street from residential B to general business.
Could you please read the communication from, I guess, Frank Strengy's committee? I didn't get a copy of that.
The planning board met on March 29th. They write back to the council, "Dear members, pursuant to section 17.56.050 of the revised Revere zoning ordinance, the planning board at a regular meeting held on March 29th, subsequent to a public hearing held on March 29th, voted to unfavorably recommend a proposed zoning amendment to change parcel ID 3-22-17, comprising of 1,075 square feet on Bennington Street, from general residence to general business. It is the determination of the planning board that this single parcel is a non-conforming, unbuildable lot. Respectfully, Eugene McKenna, Chairman of the Revere Planning Board."
Thank you. And as you are aware, the council, this is only an advisory letter. Corey? Yeah.
Try that again. Good afternoon, councilors. My name's Corey Rhodes. I'm an attorney with D'Ambrosio Brown, LLP, 14 Proctor Avenue in Revere. I represent Corey Abrams and Kerri Abrams on this petition to amend the zoning map. This is a property that's known as 252 Bennington Street. It's about 1,075 square feet on the eastern side of Bennington Street between Crescent Ave and Everard Street. We're asking that the zoning be changed from RB to GB to allow for the expansion of Kerri's florist business. This is a new location to come to Revere. We think this is a change that makes sense for this area and for this property. This lot is distinctly different from its neighbors. It's substantially smaller and currently vacant. And without this amendment, it would likely remain vacant. I looked back in the title history for this property. The city originally took it for unpaid taxes back in '56, and I don't think anything's happened with it since. So this is a chance to really take a property that's been underutilized in the city and return it to good use. There are additional public benefits of increasing the city's commercial tax base and allowing for the expansion of a hometown business. From here, if approved by the subcommittee and the full city council, we would be on to the ZBA for dimensional relief. And thank you for your time and for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Corey. Now, we've all spoken this last week, okay? And I think it was unanimous that we approve it, all right? So anyone else? Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make note that after talking with some of the planning board members, they didn't have all the information they needed. And I'd like to say that I'm going to vote APBA, against planning board advice.
We don't have to accept it, you know.
I know, and I don't want to accept it,
Right.
and because I'm in favor of this, and that's my position. Thank you.
Counselor Powers?
As I said last week, I think this is an excellent opportunity for the city. We're going to pick up some extra tax revenue from the structure and going to commercial property. But just as important, too many times we travel around the city and we see a vacant lot littered with papers, debris, that coffee cups and things like that that blow in from the streets and the sidewalks. And I think this is a an excellent opportunity to eliminate a catch-all like that by putting a structure here and getting rid of that stuff and making the city look a little nicer, and also helping a family that has been in this city for so many years, have operated a business here, do operate a business here down on Revere Street, and I think this is a great opportunity to say to them, thank you for all you've done for the City of Revere, and we want to work with you to make your business a little better and the City of Revere a little better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Council President Janino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to start by saying I'm 100% for this project, but there are several reasons why I am. One of the first is, one of the biggest issues we have in the city is we do not have enough commercial development, whether it's large or small. And this may be smaller, but it's still important. Second, this is a business that's currently operating in our city and wants to stay here and wants to expand. So I don't see any reason in the world why we would want to limit that and limit their growth as a business, because they've done incredible work for our community. And third, and finally, I cannot think of a better neighborhood business than a flower shop. Great neighbors.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor?
Thank you, Chairman Hess. Very simply, it will be a very good, I mean, it's a good proposed site. We didn't receive any negative feedback. And it's just like Councilor Powers had mentioned, regardless of the standing in the business currently right now, it's commercial property in an area that has a vacant lot, and the city will benefit. So I'm all in favor.
Thank you. Councilor McKenna?
Yes, I just wanted to give you a little history of this lot. In 1986, a woman that lived across the street who was a hairdresser, she wanted to put a salon across the street from her house, and it was approved. And the council that was sitting here approved it. And this lot, since then, she never went forward with it. It's been vacant for 30 years. And it's a litter box. And it would be such an addition to this area to put a beautiful flower facility there. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie Patch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that I'm, again, like I did at the public hearing, that I am in favor of this. I've known the family for many, many years, and I've done business with the flower shop on Revere Street, which they own, and they do a great business. And it's only a plus for the city that they can open up another store and get more service to the people in Revere. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Patch. Arthur Ganasso?
Thank you, Robert Hass. Mr. Chairman, certainly I speak to this business and these operators and personal friends. It's good partnership with the neighbors in the city. They operate out of a location across from St. Anthony's Church, and I hear nothing but good things about them. And as was stated by Kerri Abrams quite adequately at the public hearing, this is going to be because of floral arrangements and presentations that can be prepared there for bridal shower, weddings and stuff like that. So it's going to be a showcase. It's going to be a nice presentation over there. It's not some flim-flam type of setup that's going to be placed there. So, and again, the ward councilor speaks and says that it's a litter box right now. So it's for us to unlitter it and put something nice there and wish these people good luck and good fortune within the city of Revere. I'll be voting favorably for this.
Thank you, Councilor. It seems the sentiment of this council is to approve. All those in favor? All those opposed? None? We will recommend this to the general meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor, my pleasure.